Welcome to Recovery Dharma. My name is Josh, and I'm one of the facilitators here at Soul Center out of Spokane, Washington. Here at Soul Center, Julia brings forth monthly topics for us to study. And for a non-trained Buddhist practitioner, this has been a really great opportunity for me to study a little bit more and learn a little bit more about the teachings of Buddhism. Um, and then working on making meditations and a little chat about it beforehand. And, putting it in context of this recovery Dharma recovery program, um, it really has helped me a lot, and given me these tools where I find myself reflecting on them and going back to them to use them as tools on times when I'm struggling, which, you know, I would imagine I'm not the only person here who occasionally has struggles, and whether it's with recovery or just life in general. Uh, this month, uh, we're going back to basics, and Julia's starting off the year here with the first noble truth of Buddhism. Um, and it's if you're unfamiliar, the first noble truth of Buddhism, and what the Buddha said is that there is suffering. And that sucks, but that's life, right? And it kind of reminds me of I was raised by a single mom, and I always reflect on her. She had some unpolished ways about her when I'd get a little weepy and self-pitiful at times. Basically, like, yeah, life is tough. Oh, go outside. Uh, and there's suffering. We know there's suffering. Most of us have gone through a good share of our own suffering. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this room. Um, Professionally, I've been a first responder in a big city for over 30 years, and doing that has given me the opportunity to witness suffering on really a just profound scale. So much individual and group suffering. And one of the things that being able to witness that, um, it's gave me this ability to see suffering without taking it on. As a survival skill, it wasn't a conscious decision, but um, you know, you just you take on a little bit of the suffering when you witness it. But I learned at an early age that I could not take on too much, um, to the point where it becomes a challenge the other way. You also can't become numb to suffering. Um, in my profession, I've seen that happen, and I've watched it, in my own self, where there were times where I started to lose my ability to feel compassion, and I don't want that. I don't want that for myself or anybody. That's just as bad as taking on too much suffering, maybe even worse so. Uh, and making a conscious decision to try to develop the ability to witness and feel compassion, but at the same time, not take on that suffering. When I started this practice, it I already had sort of a baseline, um, to examine. And in my personal life, for entertainment, I'm a news fiend. I'm really not interested in sports. Um, I don't do social media, but my fix is going and looking at the news probably about 20 times a day. And you don't have to look too deep to recognize that they're basically, the online news sources, no matter which end of the spectrum you're on, are peddling suffering. Um, and it's very easy to fall into this trap of really taking on the suffering of the world and trying to learn how that is not my job has been really helpful in managing my own happiness. Um, and again, without losing my compassion, my humanity, uh, there's so much going on around us at all times that we're helpless to make any sort of change. But as individuals in this practice, with our mindfulness practice, um, and aspiring to be hopefully better at this humanity thing, um, our ability to spread the opposite of suffering is something that we can do. Um, if somebody falls down and breaks their ankle, I have no power to unbreak their ankle, but through offering loving kindness and compassion, maybe, just maybe, I can ease their suffering a little bit, without having any illusion of erasing suffering in the world. Spreading joy is something I am capable of doing. Um, and earlier in their last year, one of the topics that we studied and examined were the four virtues of Buddhism. And those are being loving kindness, sympathetic joy, compassion, and equanimity. And so tonight's meditation, I'm kind of combining those with the first noble truth. So if you will join me, I'm going to invite my bowl to sing. Let's begin by coming into a comfortable position of your choice. You can sit upright in a chair, on a cushion, or on the floor, or lay down on your couch or your bed. Whatever allows your body to feel supported and to be at ease. If it feels safe for you, gently allow your eyes to close, or if not, just soften your gaze, let it rest on a point in front of you. If you choose to remain in motion, that's okay too. There is no right and no wrong answer. Bring your attention to your body as it is right now. Notice any points of contact you have, your feet on the floor, weight of your body on a seat, your back resting on the mattress or the cushion, your hands resting wherever they are resting. Begin to notice your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. There's no need to change. Just simply feel the breath moving in and moving out. Each inhale arriving on its own, and each exhale releasing on its own. Allow your nervous system to settle. Allow your entire self to arrive right here, right now, in this moment. In this practice, we're taught the first noble truth of Buddhism is the truth of dukkha, often translated as suffering. This truth does not say that life is only suffering. It says something more honest and more compassionate. In this human life, suffering exists. There's physical pain, there's emotional pain, There is loss, uncertainty, change, longing. Today, we're not trying to fix suffering. We're not trying to push it away. We're just learning how to recognize it without adding more to it. One way we add suffering is by taking on that which does not belong to us, carrying the pain of others as if it were our own, confusing compassion with self-erasure, or believing that we must suffer in order to care. As we practice today, we will explore how the four virtues of Buddhism help us meet suffering wisely, without denial, without being overwhelmed, and without taking on what is not ours to carry. Begin gently turning your attention inward to your own self. Notice if there is any form of suffering present in you right now. This may be physical discomfort, emotional heaviness, restlessness, fatigue, or tension. You do not need to label it as good or bad. You don't need to analyze where it came from. Simply acknowledge this, too, is part of being human. If it feels helpful, silently name that suffering that you notice, whether tightness, sadness, pressure, or uncertainty. Let the breath move through this experience, not to make it go away, but to make space for it. This is the first noble truth in practice, seeing suffering clearly, without shame and without resistance. Notice how this approach is different from piling on additional thoughts like something is wrong with me, or I shouldn't feel this, or I have to fix this right now. For these moments, let suffering be known, let it be held with awareness. Now, we'll bring in the first virtue of Buddhism, loving kindness or metta. Loving kindness is the sincere wish for well-being. It does not require absorbing pain. Begin by offering loving kindness to yourself. Silently repeat phrases such as, may I be safe. May I be gentle with myself. May I meet my suffering with care and not judgment. May I learn what is mine to carry and what is not. And feel these wishes as intentions, not demands. Now bring someone to mind you care about, someone who may be experiencing difficulty. Notice what happens in the body as you think of them. Often we'll tighten or we'll brace, we'll unconsciously take their suffering into ourselves. And see if you can soften this. Offer loving kindness outward to them without merging any of the suffering to yourself. Silently wish, may you be safe. May you be supported. May you meet your suffering with wisdom and care. Notice the difference between wishing well and carrying pain. Loving kindness flows outward, but it does not deplete you. Now we'll reflect on compassion, the trembling of the heart in response to suffering. Compassion says, I see that suffering exists and I care. It does not say, I must take this suffering into myself. Bring to mind the truth that every being has their own path, every being has their own causes and their own conditions. You can care deeply without becoming responsible for another's suffering. As you breathe in, silently acknowledge, in this life, suffering exists. And as you breathe out, offer, may suffering be met with understanding. Notice how compassion stays present without collapsing into helplessness and without taking on what you cannot control. Let your compassion be spacious, let it be strong, and let it include you as well. Now let's turn to sympathetic joy, the ability to appreciate happiness and goodness, even when suffering exists elsewhere. Sometimes we believe that if others are hurting, we are not allowed to feel joy, relief, or peace. This belief of ours creates extra suffering. Bring to mind a small moment of goodness, a kind interaction, a moment free from habit energy, a breath that feels steady, a sense of being supported right now in this moment. Allow yourself to feel this without any guilt. Silently reflect. Joy does not deny suffering. Joy gives us the strength to meet it. Say to yourself, may I allow moments of ease to exist alongside pain. May others too experience moments of joy. Notice how joy doesn't steal from anybody else. It's an unlimited resource. Finally, let's come to equanimity, the balanced wisdom that understands limits. Equanimity reminds us that I care deeply and I cannot control the lives of others. Bring to mind this simple truth. Each person is the heir to their actions. Each person walks their own path. You may silently repeat to yourself, I care and I let go. I offer support and I release ownership. I do not abandon others and I do not abandon myself. Feel the steadiness of this in your body. Equanimity is not cold or impersonal. It is spacious, grounded, and kind. This is how the first noble truth becomes liberating. We see suffering clearly, and we stop adding more. As we come to the end of this meditation, return your attention to your breath. Notice your body, whatever position it is. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. Feel yourself present right here in this moment. Namaste. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, everybody else, for being here. I'd like to close us out with a dedication of merit. So if you'd like to take a noble posture or just close your eyes. May any understanding or kindness cultivated through this practice be shared with all beings. May we learn to recognize suffering without adding to it. May we meet pain with compassion and wisdom without taking on what is not ours to carry. May loving kindness flow freely. May compassion remain strong and balanced. May joy be allowed to arise, and may equanimity guide our hearts. For the benefits of ourselves and all beings, may this merit contribute to the easing of suffering and the awakening of wisdom everywhere. Namaste.